Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a hit-and-run story. Amazing to me how many people call the cops and are all the ones at fault. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You're going to call the cops on me? Fine, I'll wait. Just had some fun this afternoon after the gym. Came out to my car with a note on it. Someone had witnessed a hit and run. The idiot driver provided their manager at Domino's as contact, and the manager at Sobeys had more information for me. After a little back and forth, I've now driven a block over to Domino's, taken pictures of both vehicles, and have a name of the idiot driver. He hit the front passenger corner trying to park beside me and was interested in settling privately until I told him it's a $2,000 bumper. Now all of a sudden I'm scamming them. An idiot driver denies hitting the front bumper. The driver refuses to speak English with me, and the manager refuses to give me the driver's license information for a hit and run. After about 5 minutes of this, the manager threatens to call 911 and get the police involved. Sure, I'll wait right here for him. 35 minutes later, he's called them 3 more times before they show up, or at least called someone. Either way, the police officers that respond are clearly annoyed when they get there. Talked with the officer, showed them the letter on my windshield and the second note with the name and plate number of the idiot driver. Took my information down and returned to me in a minute with the idiot driver's information through his partner talking with idiot and manager. Both officers were very vocal about the force he had to hit with to crack my bumper and transfer paint to his. The officer I dealt with then tore a strip off the Domino's manager for calling the police over this. In the end, I got the name and license of the idiot driver. An hour after I showed up looking for it, the idiot gets a ticket for leaving the scene, and the manager gets berated for calling the police over an insurance issue. He's now got 30 days to have insurance line up the bumpers or he's automatically at fault. All because they called the police on me. Pro-life tip. Always take photos of both vehicles at an accident. And our second story. Neighbor refused to turn down TV at 3 a.m. and I left on my stereo on full blast. This was a few years back when I was living by myself in a cheap apartment my last year of college. You know the type, thin walls, stinky carpet, broken AC. I was only living there a year, so I just lived with a lot of issues. But one that I had a lot of trouble with was my neighbor whose bedroom shared a wall with my bedroom. I never met the guy in person since I was in college, and he was never home when I tried knocking on his door. So here's the story. After a few weeks of living there, I started hearing my neighbor's TV through my wall. Normally, it wouldn't be a problem if he watched TV at decent hours. He didn't. Instead, he'd watch TV starting from 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. or later. I'm usually a heavy sleeper, so as long as I got to bed before he started watching TV, I didn't wake up to it. Of course, being in my senior year of college meant that I didn't always go to bed at a good time and stayed up later to study, do homework, etc. These were the nights that his late-night TV binge watching would keep me up. The first night this happened, I knocked on his door before class to ask him to keep the volume down at night. He didn't answer, so I wrote on a Post-it note and called it a day. I came back in the evening and found the note on my door with a poorly scribbled addition saying that he could watch TV if he wanted to because it was his apartment. I was pretty annoyed but wanted to at least give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he misunderstood my note. I knocked on his door again, no answer. That night, I stayed up late working on a project when lo and behold, he cut on his TV and turned the volume up louder than it had been before. I was pretty mad since I knew he was doing it on purpose now and just made up my mind to call the office in the morning about it. My apartment complex had a policy where you could put in a complaint about a neighbor and management would contact them. This did not work. I probably called management 4 times about the noise, but the guy never stopped and kept the TV volume super high. I was pissed since my sleep is very important to me, and now the louder volume meant it was also starting to wake me up in the middle of the night. I eventually learned that the guy had a job with pretty odd hours since he slept during the day. He actually had the audacity to complain to management when I had some friends over in the afternoon and we woke him up, and apparently was off to watch TV all night. This is where the petty revenge comes in. I was going back home for 5 days during a school holiday, and I decided to teach this guy a lesson. At the time, the apartment on the other side and above mine were vacant, and that gave me an idea. I had a stereo in my room that had a super loud bass and came with a remote control. I set the stereo to repeat a CD after it had played through the whole thing and turned up the bass and volume as loud as it could go. I packed my bags, locked up my apartment, then used the remote control to turn my stereo on. It was so loud I could hear it through the door. I smiled and drove 3 hours to my hometown. Again, I was gone for 5 days. The whole time, my stereo was blasting a Celine Dion CD I'd borrowed from my friend. I came back with a notice from management posted on my door. The notice was about the noise, but since it was my first offense, it was just a warning. There was also a note from my neighbor begging me to turn off the music and apologize profoundly for the TV noise. I went inside, turned off my stereo, and I never heard a peep from my neighbor again. Life lesson: don't be an a-hole and others won't be an a-hole back to you. Excellent. I would have played the Cotton Eye Joe song on repeat, though. And our last story. The housing cooperative is driving me crazy. I'm living in a block of flats with slightly higher standards, meaning we have a gate and our own parking spaces, trash cans, camera system, everything. I work as a programmer and remotely. I'm also single and I keep mostly to myself, try to never harm anyone, not get in any drama, just live slowly and steadily alone, barely leaving home except doing groceries. So my neighbors know me as that homeowner that never causes any problems and is always helpful and polite. One time I had to replace my current bed. It was old and dirty and I just wanted something better, so I ordered a new bed and dismantled my old one, ready to be taken out. Once every 2 weeks, a truck comes through and checks the neighborhood to take away all the big things set beside the trash containers. That day was tomorrow. Sadly, I live on floor 3, so taking my old bed alone would be just too hard for me alone. I asked my brother for help, but he couldn't have done it tomorrow, so he just helped today. Now, before this, our block's terms of service say that you're not allowed to put out big trash except on the day the truck comes. So not wanting to make any outburst, I asked my favorite neighbor for a favor if I could put it on his parking spot day before because, well, I wouldn't be able to do it on the correct day. He gave me a thumbs up. Then I checked with another member of Housing Cooperative Board. If it's fine, since the owner of the spot knows, he also said it's okay for him. I moved on with the plan. My brother came in, we moved my old bed outside, occupied the spot, and called it a day. That's when the Karen came in. She's around 50-plus years old from looks. You know, the type that sits the whole day in the window and tries to find something to complain about. She got into my home and tried to explain that it's against our community rules, so I had to have it taken away right now. I, in exchange, tried to explain to her why I did that, how I got approval from people and whatnot. She wasn't having it. She threatened to call the police on me for littering if I didn't get it done today. I said, sure, okay. I guess I'm technically in the wrong here, so I'll just comply. I called the private company to take away the bed today. I also specifically went to her home and told her it'd be done today. She said fine. So the truck arrives, they start taking away the bed, and so does the police. Apparently she already did call the police without waiting for me to do anything. I'm livid and literally panicking, not because I was afraid of a fine or anything, but just because it was the first time in my life that someone did something hostile for me, even though I said I'd do what she wants. I explained the whole situation. The police see no problem. They don't even cite me for anything. They just give me a handshake, pat my back, and leave. The lady that called the police looks out the window and yells, "Thank you, officers," with a grin. I'm even more upset at this point. I think to myself, you want to perfectly obey the law? Fine. I'll make sure you do. I got the community rules from the council and studied them thoroughly to find potential reasons to make her life hell. I see her taking out the trash. I hear her glass bottles in the bag. I look out the window. She throws it in the wrong container. I call the community board. Bam, your rent went up because you don't comply with our sorting garbage rules. Next day, I come back from groceries. I see her car. She parked a little over the line, so it's basically like taking up 2 spaces. I call the police. Bam, she gets a fine. She walks out her dog in our private space. As I watch her through the window, I see her dog pooping, but she doesn't scoop it up. Oh, did you just do that? I call community board with a complaint. She came to me and wanted to apologize. Now here's the part that makes me look bad. I said, no, I don't accept it. Why? because I admit I'm vindictive to people who try to create trouble for others without a very good reason. I said, all I'm doing is making sure you're following the community rules. Is that wrong? And she scoffed at me something rude and went away. I've been doing that for like 3 months now. A month ago, she was kicked off the board for too many rule violations. Today, she moved out, but before she did, she made sure to put a bag of trash on my doorstep while I was away. Sad for her. She's stupid, and the trash contained a letter with her information on it, so I had the last laugh by reporting it to the police. I know, rules are rules. I was technically in the wrong first for breaking them, but the moment she went out of her way to enforce them and then screw me anyway, that was when the line was crossed. I have no shame for bullying her out of here. I was just doing the God's work and ensuring that the rules are not broken. I love it. Even with approval, she wanted to be the enforcer, and then got kicked out for being a problem. Well done. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.